It is time once again for another Chicago Bears post-game show Victory Tuesday edition. Nika? Yes, indeed.
Bears.
Thank you, superfans. As usual, we will be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly from last night's Bears victory in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. against the Commanders. That's right, folks. We win the revenge game, Nika. This was a huge, important psychological victory for this Chicago Bears team.
We did win the revenge game, as you call it.
And it wasn't pretty. There was some foul weather in the area. But a win is a win, especially on the road in the NFL.
In the shitty weather.
Yes. Thank you, Washington, D.C., for that lovely weather last night. You got to play in the elements sometimes. That's part of football. Exactly. So, we're going to be breaking it down, talking about it, the Bears' victory. But before we do, if this is your first time here, please do us a solid, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please ring that bell for our mascot, Frexy. Look at those orange goggles, everybody. Is she not the biggest Chicago Bears dog fan you have ever seen?
She is.
Deep down, we know she is. Let's start with the good from last night, shall we, Nika?
Sure. What was good?
I wrote down that the Bears got a running game. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels both played pretty well here. And the defense wins the takeaway battle on the road. Let's talk about it.
All right.
This was a total team victory once again for this Chicago Bears team. I struggled to find one player who outshined them all. Maybe DeAndre Swift would get an argument. He had a really great game.
He did.
But I just felt like this was a total team victory in a certain sense.
Okay.
Everyone contributed, including Jake Moody. Got to give a shout out, filling in for Kairos Santos, our captain kicker, who has a deep thigh bruise, I guess, on his right kicking leg. He was scratched before the game, and Jake Moody was brought up and promoted to the roster.
Was that his first game?
This year, yeah.
Wow.
He was, I don't know. He was released by the 49ers like after week 1, and the Bears picked him up.
But that was his first Bears game.
It was his first Bears game, and it was huge because he winds up getting the game-winning field goal as time expires. That's right. This was a walk-off win, or the equivalent of it in football. But October baseball is getting into the football world now because the Bears get a walk-off victory of their own in Washington, D.C., and again, total team victory, especially in the rain, getting a kick as time expires in the rain. You never know what's going to happen. Like, I was holding my breath when they went for that final field goal, even though they did rip off a nice run. DeAndre Swift again, right before that kick to move it in significantly.
Right now, but I don't know if you remember, Commander's kick went straight to the pole and it got
doink.
Boinked outside.
They got a dinka-doinka.
They did. It was awful, but it cost them the game.
It did. I mentioned DeAndre Swift. Let's talk about him for a second because one of the big things we talked about going into this game was the Bears were really struggling to get the running game going. Their last game at Las Vegas, they averaged 2.7 yards per carry. That's not very good. I'm happy to report that things have improved in the bye week, apparently. 145 total yards on the ground, 5.4 yards per carry this week. DeAndre Swift was a big part of that. He had 14 carries for 108 yards. That's 7.7 yards per carry, Nika.
That's an improvement.
That's almost getting all 10 yards per carry. I mean,
that's a lot better than the prior weeks.
DeAndre Swift had a really big game. He also had 2 receptions for 67 yards, including a 55-yard touchdown catch. So, and that was a big play. He put a juke on somebody and was off to the races, and nobody could catch him. And huge play. And that was in the fourth quarter, by the way, to move the Bears within 2 points of the Commanders. They failed to convert the 2-point conversion here, which is why the game was won on a field goal by 1 point. So
It happens.
it
It's
does.
football.
It does. Let's quickly touch on Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels, shall we? Because, of course, this is their second matchup against each other. And as you can see here from the box score, both played pretty well here. The numbers would seem to immediately favor Jaden Daniels, though he did have that interception. He finishes with 3 touchdown passes in this game and 1 interception, a quarterback rating of a 119.2, a 73.1% completion rating, 19 for 26 and 211 yards. A great game, you could argue, by Jaden Daniels here in a losing effort, minus that 1 interception. And that was costly because they weren't quite in the red zone, but they were going for the end zone on that play. And it was a big time interception by Jaquan Brisker of the Bears. Caleb Williams, on the other hand, was 17 of 29 in this game, 58.6% completion percentage. We'll talk about that in a minute, but 252 yards, 8.7 yards per attempt. Now, he outduels Jaden Daniels in that regard in this game, and that's big to me because no matter how many attempts you take, it's not about how many yards you get. It's about how many you get each time you drop back to pass. And Ben Johnson wants to have a balanced running passing game. So it was good to see the Bears win that battle this week when it came to like the offensive stats. You know, they get 6.5 yards per play. The Bears do. That's what they finish with. The Commanders finish with 5.5 yards per play. So the Bears almost outgain them by a yard per every play. That's why the Bears run less plays, but gain 50 more yards by the end of the game than the Commanders do.
So they improved in the running game, basically.
They definitely brought their running game up in the off week, and the O-line did appear to be blocking better. So there was some good news in that regard in the bye week. You know, that must have been something that they needed to work on. And Ben Johnson, you know, like we've said week in and week out here, they want to run the ball.
Yeah.
You know, that was true when he was in Detroit and putting up 40-point games. It wasn't by lack of running. You got to keep the other team honest.
Absolutely.
So back to the quarterback battle really quickly here. I think Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are going to be a classic matchup for years to come, I feel like here. This is their second time meeting, so they're now 1-1 against each other. Of course, last year was the Hail Mary game. This year became a revenge game, and then the Bears kind of win on a Commander's mistake here at the end of the game. Jaden Daniels did kind of fumble the handoff that led to the Bears getting a big turnover in the fourth quarter and putting them in position to win this game. Huge moment. The defense I wrote down as a good in this game because they won the turnover battle 3-0. You know, you got to compliment the offense a little bit for that because Caleb didn't throw an interception and the Commanders had 2 fumbles, Nika, that we recovered both of them. Caleb Williams also had a fumble that he did recover. So no harm, no foul, I guess,
True.
minus the lost yardage. But nevertheless, it's really, you know, if you win the turnover battle in the NFL, I think 99% of the time you're going to win that game.
Okay. Well,
So-
they did win it. They squeaked the win.
They did, yeah. And they should have won by more. We'll talk about that when we get to some of the bad and the ugly.
Okay.
But I feel like when you win the turnover battle too as a Bears team, it's just that's the kind of Bears brand of football that I like defensively. We're supposed to hit them hard. We're supposed to be ball hockey, and we're supposed to be like making things happen and not just trying to prevent the offense from scoring. You know, we're trying to get the ball back. We're trying
Sure.
to take it away. We're trying to make things happen out there. So you can't overcommit, obviously, and not play in your lane. But
Well,
I like to see this Bears team creating that dynamic early in the season. They won the turnover battle in Las Vegas too. So, yeah, all in all, great total team victory on the road in a tough place to play, you know, and the Commanders are not bad. Jaden Daniels is not bad. You know, he's actually really good.
yeah.
He did have 3 touchdown passes, and he also used his legs quite frequently in this game to get some yardage. So all in all, great job by the Bears. Now, there are some things that jumped off the page as being kind of bad and ugly, Nika. So
Okay,
let's
well,
talk about it really quick.
We're going to start with the bad.
Too many field goals.
Too many field goals.
Too many field goals. 5 field goals in this game, only 2 touchdowns. Ben Johnson, we've mentioned week in and week out. He wants to score, man. He wants to score 40 points. You're not going to do it with field goals. The Bears offense needs to convert more touchdowns. They should have had more points in this game. They definitely should have. You know, the opportunities were there.
It's a work in progress.
It is a whip, but we got to whip it into shape, baby.
Well, it's a work in progress. Give it some time.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
know,
brand new
but we had a
coach.
bye week, and I just expected a little bit more
I understand.
offensively.
I understand.
I know the elements were unfriendly last night. I know it was
can't
windy,
blame
but
it on the
Jaden
weather.
Daniels had 3 touchdown passes.
True.
He made some tough throws when he needed to. We need a little bit more here. You know, I just feel like it can't just end with field goals all the time and you expect to win.
Fair enough.
The Kyle Monangai play in the end zone really stands out to me as one of a missed opportunity. I think this was on the 2-point conversion attempt, and it wound up being a pass over the middle that was deflected, and Kyle Monangai is like wide open from the get-go. He's your outlet receiver. It just needs to happen, man. And I know it's a work in progress. So I'm just pointing out these are the
Sure.
things that I hope that they're communicating to Caleb Williams. Like, hey, man,
Those are the things
he's
he needs
right
to
there
improve.
open. Like,
I
it needs to
know.
happen.
He didn't see him, maybe? Most likely he
He
didn't see
didn't, but
him,
he's got to see him.
obviously.
He's got to figure it out.
I know.
There's also some issues with man and zone reads, it looks like, and route running. Now, if you don't know, really quick, just an explainer, depending on if a defense is playing man or zone and what play is called, a receiver will have a different route to run, like different options in that route. And it looks like there was some confusion last night between what the receiver was doing and what the quarterback was throwing the ball to. You know, like a receiver might stop where the quarterback thinks he's supposed to keep going. And that's where you can get some really dangerous like interceptions and turnovers. And so we were lucky we avoided some of that last night. But I think that they need to get better at it. And the defense is trying to trick you guys. You know, they are not letting you know, like, hey, we're playing man, we're playing zone.
Well, that's part of the game, so the communication needs to get better.
They're masking it, and the Bears need to like get better at recognizing it and being on the same page with each other.
Yeah, I think that comes with experience.
Yes, Caleb missed too many open players last night.
did.
There was some dropped balls too. So that completion percentage is 58% at the end of this game, and that's below the 70% standard that was set at the beginning of the season. Jaden Daniels was at 73% last night. You know, he's flying in the Ben Johnson, standard, if you will. He's completing 70% of his passes in the elements, in the windy weather, in the rain. So you can't use that excuse, you know. Now the Bears got 8.7 yards per attempt versus Jaden Daniels gets only 8.1. So you could make an argument that even though the completion percentage is not as high, the efficiency and it's like slugging percentage in baseball, right? Like,
very similar.
well, we're hitting more home runs, so we're going to win the game. I would like to see that completion percentage go up because that would make the yards per attempt go up even higher. Just imagine adding anything to that. You could be poking at 9, maybe 10 yards an attempt, and then you're in like elite level quarterbacking.
Comes with experience.
It will, and he is a work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, I want to point out another thing, and it matters a lot more when you're this age, but Jaden Daniels is a year older than Caleb Williams, and that maturity might matter right now.
Maybe.
When you're 25 and
sure.
24, it matters.
Okay. I don't know. I mean,
I think they're
that's-
both actually pretty damn mature for their age, if you ask
Yeah.
me, compared to some of the people that come out of the NFL,
Exactly.
MLB, whatever.
24-year-olds, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, still, like I said, the 8-point yards per attempt is good. So, all in all, you can't say it was ugly.
Right.
I'm just saying there's room for improvement, and
Very good point.
I don't want him to get complacent by any means.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the ugly, Nika. The ugly in this game. I wrote penalties and bad officiating in my notes, both. And I think there was a little bit of a combination of both. But I want to say up front that the Bears getting called for penalties that are maybe ticky-tacky is not an excuse for putting the team in this situation.
Yes.
Now, the Bears were flagged 9 times in this game for 84 yards.
Ooh, ouch.
And I wrote down here the bigger thing that matters, which is that those penalties created 4 Washington first downs. 4 times that you got flagged, you gave your opponent a fresh set of downs to work with. Ugh, is that not backbreaking to a defense? You think
Absolutely
the defense is like, if we play good on this play, we're going to get off the field. And instead, before the play even is allowed to happen, they have to now face possibly 3 or more plays, and it's just backbreaking. I can't begin to explain the psychology behind that.
The penalties are killing the Bears. They really are.
And the Commanders, meanwhile, they get flagged 5 times, but for only 40 yards. That's half as many yards. That's more than half. And by the way, it only led to 1 Chicago first down. So you talk about that part of the argument, 4-1, you're losing. That's ugly, man.
That is ugly.
That has got to get cleaned up. And I had expected it to get cleaned up more in the bye week. I know that you don't have a lot of time and there's only so much you can work on, but I feel like you got to find room to work on both the run blocking, the run defense, and the
ugly stuff,
ugly penalties that you're getting, man. Like, you got to clean it up. The defense, in my opinion, had to work way too hard in this game for the win. And kudos to them for coming up big. Now, they also created some of their own problems with personal fouls. And that, I will say, like, some of it was ticky-tacky, yes. But other times it was like, just hit him in the shoulder, man. Don't go for the leg. They're going to call it every time in this era of football. And I don't necessarily always agree with it, but it's just the way it is, okay? And you know better. You should know better. The muscle memory needs to improve. Like, that comes with practice. So make it a priority in practice to just hit with your shoulder pads at their shoulders, okay? Avoid their head and avoid their knees.
That's
not that hard.
Advice. Do you think the Bears looked better coming out of a halftime? Because that were their Achilles heel, the third quarter.
Maybe.
Okay, I thought it was bad still.
Yeah, I think this was not the best game to look at adjustments. They didn't come out of the game scoring enough. I guess I would say it's in the bad category still.
Yeah.
The 2 touchdowns are good, but we need 4 touchdowns and 3 field goals, not 5 field goals and 2 touchdowns, if that makes sense. We need to convert twice as many drives into scores.
Okay.
And 2 points were left off the board for a 2-point conversion.
True.
You could say 1 point, so whatever. Moving on. Another frustrating part with the penalties was the illegal formation on offense, because they literally are the equivalent of a false start penalty. But they're just different, where a guy lines up and he's not lined up properly. And there's rules about who lines up where. We're not going to get into all that there. But one illegal formation call last night cost us a touchdown. Rome Odunze caught the ball and ran it into the end zone. And the only thing that happened wrong on the play was that somebody lined up in the wrong spot. That's it.
So that took away.
Everything else was picture perfect, great play, touchdown pass. And oh, by the way, Rome Odunze doesn't get his touchdown streak extended as a result of it. So that sucks, kind of.
Yep.
Anyways, and if he scores that touchdown, the whole complexion of the game might be totally different. They might never get as close to us or take the lead.
Yeah.
So I want to say it again. Some of these calls were bad, but some of them were also fair. And it just has to get better. It has to clean itself up.
Well, the illegal formation you're talking about, that's going to fall more on the player than a coach. You're already playing football. You should know where to put yourself on this line of scrimmage.
Absolutely. You got to, I know it's windy. I know it's rainy, but it's not an excuse.
Exactly.
It's your job.
It's your job. It's what station you're supposed to be on.
Yep. So hopefully, the Bears continue to improve on this as they go throughout the schedule, because they are entering a favorable portion of their schedule. We'll talk about that really quick before we get out of here. But I want to just say one more thing about the officiating, and that is I hope that the Bears do get this cleaned up sooner than later, because I feel like it could create a long-term problem, at least for the remainder of the season, which is things that we know about the psychology of umpiring and refereeing, which is like, if you're known as a team that commits a lot of pass interference penalties on defense, then refs might start to see things that aren't there and start throwing flags more. And there's no challenging pass interference. There's no challenging defensive holding or not. It's an arbitrary call by the official in that moment.
So you cannot have a review of that call either.
Correct. There are some things like, was he down at this line, that are reviewable.
Sure.
And that makes sense. Is this a catch or not? That's reviewable. But when it comes to these like judgment calls,
They're not.
they are not.
Okay.
Offensive holding on the offensive line. You don't want to be known as a line that holds a lot. Otherwise, refs might start seeing things. We know this happens with umpires in baseball because of the whole ABS thing that's going on and the strike zone. If you're not familiar, you don't need to be for this, but basically umpires are known to change the strike zone psychologically based on certain conditions of a game.
Which isn't fair.
Well,
both teams.
it's a human fallacy.
Of course.
Whether or not it's fair or not. I mean, if it sort of is happening to everybody, but what's happening is it's wound up being unfair to one team, definitely, in that moment.
Okay.
So I just don't want that to become a long-term issue. I don't want the Bears to be playing for a playoff spot in week 17 or week 18 and, getting flagged for penalties that aren't there, ghost penalties, as they call them sometimes.
Because that's how they played the whole season.
Because that's what they did during the regular season. So that's why I want them to definitely start to clean this up. And that's why, for me, it's the ugliest part of the game.
Okay.
Well, next up, the Bears are playing the New Orleans Saints in Chicago at Soldier Field on Sunday the 19th. And this is a normal noontime Chicago game. I wrote 1 o'clock on the East Coast and 10 o'clock a.m. on the Pacific Coast. We got a couple more weeks, Nika, of 10 a.m. football start times on Sunday before it switches over to 11 o'clock here in Arizona, where there is no daylight savings time enacted.
Do you have the Saints record?
The Saints are 1-5 coming into this game. The Bears are 3-2. I mean, look, this is a game that the Bears should definitely win. And oh boy, if they somehow manage to lose this, it'll be a classic case, in my opinion, of playing down to your competition.
I hope they don't.
So they really need to. This will be a really good test to see what Ben Johnson is made of as a head coach. I think when you play down to your competition, it's a reflection of the coach.
Okay, fair enough.
That's my opinion personally. And if you lose a game that you should win, it's because you haven't motivated your players properly or given them the best game plan of attack against your opponent. That's all.
But this is basically St. Louis. I mean, not St. Louis. New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't think Ben Johnson's that kind of coach. I think he's winning games for the Bears right now that they would have otherwise lost last year. The Raiders game and the Commanders game would have both been lost by Coach Eberflus, and the Bears would probably be 1-4 right now.
Oh, like the New Orleans.
Basically, that would be the battle of the dumpster fire.
Oh, boy.
So it's not. It's a meaningful game for the Bears. It's a really good opportunity to go 4-2 and
It's at home as well, so you have a home field advantage.
Yeah, and win your 4th straight game. When's the last time the Bears won 4 games in a row, let alone 3 like they have right now? So
when did that happen? Do you know?
I don't have that in front of me. Maybe I will use that as some food for thought for the next Bears pregame show, which will be this Friday on the Kenikka Sports Show, everybody. So stay tuned for that. Now, one minor note I want to mention before we get out of here, and that involves wide receiver DJ Moore.
Oh.
DJ Moore did not make the flight back to Chicago last night with the rest of the team. He was kept in Washington, D.C. at a hospital overnight for observation due to some kind of injury that he had suffered in this game. We do not know more at this time. We probably will know more at some point this afternoon in Chicago when Ben Johnson meets with the media. But scary stuff if you're a fan of the game, just when anybody is kept overnight for observation in a hospital. Could be any number of things rib fracture, chest injury, stuff like
concussion, anything.
Anything with his head or chest is where I would go. I don't think a leg injury always would keep you in the hospital overnight. But You never know. I mean, it could be just for his comfort.
It could be food poisoning, for what we know. He ate something bad.
Who knows?
Afterwards. I don't
Hopefully
know.
he's okay. But maybe let's not bank on him being available this
Yeah.
week either. Like, I
Yeah,
just
good
want
idea.
to put that thought into people's head.
So
all right.
we don't have an update. That's
We
what you're
don't.
saying. Okay.
So, anyways, that's this episode for the Chicago Bears postgame show. And as I mentioned, we will be back with a pregame show for the Saints, targeting Friday for that, but with our unique brand of insights and fun factor heading into the next Bears game and hopefully another victory Monday for the beloved.